all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Make America great again.
The Big Mig.
Well, good morning and welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Of course, I'm your host, Lance Migliaccio, with my ride or die co-host, George Ballantine. It's tip of the spear, edge of the knife, because, of course, if liberty means anything at all, it means right to tell people what they do not want to hear. And we do that every single episode on this show. It's what it's all about. If you're tuning in for the first time, you know the drill. Hit that thumbs up, get in the comments. And listen, you guys are being way too shy. Get in the chat, talk some crap, get in there, beat the Big Mig Mafia, beat all the subscribers. Let's hear what you have to say, because, of course, we always want your input. We want to know if we're over the target, and if you appreciate what we're doing, of course, you can do a $5 subscription. Rumble ran tips, and don't forget, we've got that Rumble wallet where you can tip us in crypto. George is still trying to get those 10 Bitcoin from people. I don't know if it's going to work, but he's trying. He's doing the best work he can to try to over-deliver to get them.
You know where my 10 Bitcoin is?
Where is it, buddy?
It's with my gold prepper bar from Jonathan Rose.
Oh, I know. He owes you a gold prepper bar. I know. There was a promise.
I know. It's in the mail. Maybe it's just got lost, I think. I know.
Well, but maybe you got an opportunity to grease the skids with that. We got the director of operations joining us here in a minute.
That's why I brought it up. Get right off the bat.
I know. And I figured you would. I know that George is one of those people. He still has his community money. He's like a baby elephant. He hasn't forgotten anything, and he will bring it up at the most inopportune moment if he can, and he strikes like a cobra. That's how he does it. I've seen him do it many times. All right. Well, look, you know what the show's all about. There's tons going on. The geopolitical environment, for me, it's complicated, right? I guess there's a ceasefire. I don't really know if it's going to happen. I don't trust the IRGC. I don't trust the Ayatollah. I don't trust the Basij. I don't even know who's owning in Iran at this point. Your guess is as good as mine. I know a lot of people say it's the IRGC, and they don't want to comply. Are they really going to give us all the uranium? I don't trust the Iranians. I trust the Persian people. I think the Iranian leadership is dangerous. But listen, again, if you love Rumble Premium with Perplexity, if you're paying for Perplexity otherwise, don't just pay over there. Come over to Rumble. Pay for the premium. That's a way to thank Chris and the team for all the great work they're doing. And that's how we do it here. I'm excited because, it's been a minute and we feel like we've dropped the ball on you guys. We used to have Jonathan Rose come on regularly from Genesis Gold Group. And what I loved about him is he's not a high-pressure guy. He's a knowledge guy. And, of course, being from England, everything he said makes him sound like he went to Cambridge and he's a genius. And he is a genius in finance. He knew an awful lot, but he's so busy with everything he's doing. We've got a new director of operations joining us.
Lance,
the reason we're doing this, there's a reason.
You can't make excuses for Jonathan. He just doesn't want to get beat up again. He's still sour about the loss in 1776, the loss back then.
Yeah. He's
afraid. He doesn't want to give me my gold prepper bar.
Exactly.
I'm more happy Keith is here. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. So look, here's the deal. Geopolitical. It's going on all over, right? You got Ukraine just bombed inside of Russia. I think Putin's going to lose his patience very soon. I have a feeling that the Zelensky might have made some of his last moves here. But that's the thing. You don't really know. You're struggling. You want to know about finance, and you guys know I don't like infomercials. I like people that have a deep knowledge base. And that's what Keith Heit, he's the new director of operations over at Genesis Gold Group. He's been 20 years in private business in the Las Vegas community. He's got a UNLV business degree. And the truth of the matter is the guy, I've talked to him, I've just got to know him recently. He knows a lot. And I wanted to get him on the show because I wanted you guys to really be able to look at everything and say, okay, what are my next moves? How do I benefit from what's going on in the economy? How do I benefit from what this administration is doing? And the great thing about the guys at Genesis, of course, you guys know about Block Trust IRA, that George and I are crypto guys, but we're also gold people, gold and silver. We have bullion. I got bullion my dad gave me as a child. And what I like about what we're going to do today is we're going to try to tie in kind of what we think the future holds. And remember, nothing on the show is financial advice, but Keith Heit is a true expert. He's done after-school work programs for school just for 12 years. He's been in the gold and silver market since 2011. So he's been through the ups and downs. He wasn't in there when the Hunt brothers tried to corner the market, but he came in, later on and really got to be an expert. And I think that this is important. It's important for you guys because I want you guys to be prepared. We always say, educate and unify the country one episode at a time. So this is all about educating you on the financial end, which we haven't done this in a little while. We were doing the Global Finance Forum every Friday. You guys loved the show, but then Jonathan just got too darn busy and we just felt like we would have been doing a disservice because I'm not the expert these guys are. So let's bring him in. There's no reason to leave Keith backstage any longer than we have to. Let's get him in here, George.
All right. Welcome to the Big Mig.
Financial markets, right? Because everybody's always kind of a little unhappy. Let me ask you about this. Oh, George, we just lost.
I got it. I'm bringing it. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. So let's give the audience a little more of your background and kind of explain why you got into gold and silver and kind of, what your experience has been.
Well, first off, I want to thank both you gentlemen for having us back on the show and having me on the show personally. I've been a big fan of both of you for quite some time. I know I was telling you backstage, recently that I kind of consider you guys, I like to coin you the non-GMO of the podcast world, as I like to say it, because you guys just come on with raw truth. I mean, you really say it how it is. You don't really gaslight anybody. You don't say a bunch of crazy stuff. You kind of stick to the basics and give the opportunity for all your viewers to really digest the information they need to and kind of go with it. And with that being said, again, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and to answer your question. Listen, Las Vegas is a very dynamic city. When I came out of UNLV in the early 90s with a business degree, I was kind of looking around, and I think like a lot of people, you can go to school, you can get educated, you get this degree, and then you get dumped out into the real world and you're like, oh my God, everything they taught you, even though it was on paper and pen and you put it together, sometimes it really doesn't work like that. So, we took some bumps and bruises, and my father and I got real fortunate. We were able to be involved in some investment world stuff, on the back end of some finance instruments, and we did really, really well. And then we got this grandeur idea because my sister was kind of sitting out there and she was looking to do something. And, this is going to sound a little crazy. We got into the tanning salon business, believe it or not, of all places on planet Earth to open up tanning salons where it's, 200 degrees, 5 months a year in Las Vegas. And one thing led to another. And then, 13 years later, we went from one store to basically 13 to 14 units. We had about 150 people working for us. We were very successful. And then it was time to change. We had gotten out in early 2006, and thank the good Lord, because as all of us know, it really hit it, when late 2007, 2008 hit with the financial crisis with all the mortgage bank loans. And Las Vegas obviously was one of the first ones that really got decimated. And we were smart enough to sit on the sidelines with that. And then the gold and silver came around really in 2010, 2011. And the biggest reason that we had gotten involved in it, we were just watching so many pieces fall apart. I mean, you watched as the mortgages went to hell in a handbag. You watched as businesses were getting beaten to death. You weren't able to do really anything with your money. I mean, the markets were in turmoil. And, I looked at my father and I said, hey, why don't we take X amount and why don't we start kind of asset protecting what we had? We had quite a bit at the time, and we have to kind of protect this. And we looked at it, and we were very fortunate because we got in early. When we started really looking at portfolio protection with precious metals, we were fortunate on the silver end because we went a little bit heavier with silver versus gold. And our cost basis was $11, $12 an ounce. And I know that's probably laughable at this point in Junction. And we never kind of looked back, and we just kept building it and building it. And next thing you know, you fast forward, some 15 years later, and, we're sitting on quite a bit. And, we took some lessons along the way.
Yep.
And then Genesis Gold kind of showed up, and I had the opportunity to meet with, with Jonathan and their board and sit down and see if we can put some stuff together. And we did, and kind of never looked back and really became educated on the whole entire background of the gold and silver business from the back end of looking at it from the retail side and what it really does and what it really can't do. And then the learning curve over the last couple of years has been just astronomical for me professionally as to how precious metals really work, and it's a mixed bag of tricks. It really is, to a certain extent.
Well, that's why you need experts on anything, right? That's why we always say, for George and I, we're not financial experts by any means, although we're pretty well read, pretty experienced. It's funny. You mentioned tanning salons. I owned part of Dark Tan with Robbie Siegler.
How funny. Yeah.
And if you know Siegler, and Dark Tan had 100 locations or something. He sold out. Of course, now he's in the health club business, and we sold out the couple that I had. I had 5 of them with him here in this region. He did really well. He knew the model. He was very good at what he did, him and his wife. And so interesting stuff that we have a little bit of a similar background. But, my dad was kind of he'd lived through the Depression, and he believed that you had to have plan ABC. He didn't ever believe that it was only one thing. And so he had a certain amount in gold and silver. Of course, he passed it on to me when he passed away. He always gave us gold and silver as Christmas gifts. We would get, gold, maybe a gold, maybe, half an ounce, or we'd get, some silver coins, or he did that every year. It was in our stockings at Christmas time. And I held on to all that. I didn't ever get rid of any of it. I just held it, and I continue to hold it. Probably at some point I'll give it to my daughter. Hopefully I won't need it. But the point is, that's the thing: asset protection, diversification. You never know what the economic turmoil is, and the geopolitical landscape. George, you and I have talked about this so many damn times. It's confusing, right? You don't know. 1 minute, Iran is under attack, and then they're at the negotiating table, and then it stops again. Same thing for Ukraine and Zelensky. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about what's going on in Northern Africa. And there's so many, things that come into play. And I think that's where the confusion is for the audience. George, do you feel like, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to get the message through, because even for us, we disseminate, we use AI, and we do a lot of other things to go through all the information. But yet I don't know how to give people the definitive answer. They say to me, well, how much silver should I buy? How much gold should I buy? What should my diversification look like? George, do you feel like sometimes the audience has got a confusion about that? Because I do.
I mean, listen, when it comes to investing, especially when you're in the geopolitical, there's a storm out there, and, more or less Iran and Israel and us fighting, it hurts the markets. It hurts everything across the board. One of the main commodities, oil. When oil goes up, everything goes up, because trucks, cars, everything uses, gas to function. So things go up, and people financially, they get scared. Or even with, like, let's say crypto. Crypto has been stagnant for, 5 months now? Maybe 6? And it's all because of the Clarity Act not being passed, because it's the fear of the unknown. People fear things. But, now that, like, you brought up the Iran deal. So the Strait of Hormuz is now fully open. I know they're going to clear out the mines, Iran stuff, but it's fully open. Ships are starting to, a lot of ships have been waiting. They're going to be going through. Oil is dropping, the barrel. I think it's not, somebody said it was at 80. I'm not sure the price. I don't want to misquote. But, when there's stability, people feel more confident to invest in stuff. But listen, you can never go wrong precious metals. I don't care what. From its inception of when it was discovered, gold, silver, even others, it always gone up in value. So you can never go wrong investing in that, and it'll be a safe bet if you're, want to be like a safe investor. But listen, if I had more extra money to buy gold and silver, I'd buy more right now. Just think, look, silver went up to a high. It was 120 at one point, and it went back down. It's at, I think, almost $71.
Yeah, 71 and a quarter.
Yeah, gold is at almost 4,400, 43.78. I think, what was gold's high? 5,000 at one point?
Yeah, it was tipping over 5.
So I say, I'm good at predicting, by the way. Give it, if everything goes fine with Iran in the next 60 days and the stability, gold will go back easily to 5 by end of year. And I had this prediction last year. What was the numbers, Lance, I said, with gold and silver?
I don't remember now.
I hit the numbers
accurate.
in a month.
You called out a couple of new highs that I wasn't even sure about. But there was a lot of resistance, and then there was also a lot of support. when you really looked at the charts and you kind of think, okay. But, look, here's the big news. And Keith, I want to get your points on this. Let's talk about gold and silver. They just hit the 3-week high after the alleged, I'm going to say alleged, U.S.-Iran ceasefire agreement. And that's
why are you saying it's alleged? It's done. They're going to sign it.
Done for sure?
They have agreement. They're going to sign it Friday. Is it Switzerland?
In Geneva or something?
Yeah, Geneva. Because Trump just flew in last overnight. He's there now for the G7. They're going to sign it Friday. The main thing with that is now Iran's really not getting much. It's all on based on if they fulfill their requirements. So it's like stages. Like they're not going to get sanctions are not going to be lifted unless they let us in. They find all the nuclear dust and stuff. It's all put in like that. Even the EU said they're not going to lift sanctions until they see progress. So it's not like, bam, deal's a deal. Everything, the sanctions are lifted. No, Iran has to. They have to show their faith and abide by that. The deal they're making with the U.S. Like you said, the IRGC, they don't want a deal. I don't even think Israel wants. Netanyahu doesn't want a deal. Netanyahu wants war. So it keeps him because he's running again for re-election. Plus, it keeps his criminal case somewhat at bay, even though I think it's starting. So he wants that. So he tried. They took a shot at Lebanon. They tried doing something, but it didn't, backfired. But the question is,
fly in the ointment. How
do you keep the IRGC at bay? That's going to be the big. We'll see how that plays out because they're the one with the guns, right?
Yeah.
Keith, go ahead.
What do you think about these?
You're frozen, Keith, by the way.
What'd you say?
He's frozen, just so he knows.
Oh, Keith's video, did we lose him?
I don't know. He's there, but he's just frozen.
Keith, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, your video's frozen. It's probably because maybe you're
He's on Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
you're on Wi-Fi and your internet. You might need to up your speed bandwidth. But we can hear you, so we got your image. You're kind of frozen in spot. Let's talk about this. We just hit a new 3-week high. Gold and silver rallied. They went to 4,700 and 4,856 highs. Silver was up 4 or 5%. I know it's dropped down a little bit since. What do you think is going to happen here? How do you feel about where the markets are right now with this particular topic?
Well, I kind of agree. I tend to agree with both of you in the middle there. I mean, at the end of the day, here is the reality. And again, the reality from what we have been witnessing over since this whole entire debacle has begun. And I do tend to agree with George a little bit on this. I mean, I think it's going to come down to who really wants it to work and who really doesn't want it to work. And I think right now there's more opposition, as crazy as this is going to sound, that they don't want it to work. And if the continuation of going in and attacking Lebanon and the continuation of just not sitting on the sidelines and letting everything just kind of cool down is going to continue to drive this to the point where the scary part is it's not today or tomorrow, it's 6 and 8 months from now. Because if this situation in the Strait does not get rectified and we don't get the energy sources we need globally, I'm speaking, I mean, we could be looking at major turmoil. Now, the flip side of that coin is this. When it comes to precious metals and it comes to gold and silver, listen, you could have some really good entry points coming up, right? And I think they're here right now, even though we're hitting a little bit of highs, but you're going to have entry points where you can come in and be able to grab some, put it to the side, because when this does get cleared up, because at some point it's going to have to get cleared up, right? The Trump administration can, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, the Trump administration cannot afford to have this continuing going on, especially with midterms coming up, and we're less than 6 months away. Because the reality is, if midterms come up and these guys get, destroyed in midterms, what does that look like? And what does that set up for down the road? So there's going to have to be an absolute resolution of some sort, at least minimum by end of summer. I would think that they're locked and loaded. And yeah, they did sign yesterday. And once they did, and what's amazing, once they signed that, if you look at the markets and if you look at precious metals, I mean, they came up 3, 4, 5 points literally overnight. So if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're saying, hey man, how am I going to protect my portfolio? What am I going to do during these turbulent times all the way across the board? I mean, I think you have to be conservative. I think you have to really, like George said, you really have to pay attention to RGC, have to pay attention to these mediators out there that I don't know that they really want peace the way that I think they're trying to make peace look like how they want it. I think they're trying to build this big picture, and behind the scenes, there's a lot of disgruntlement going on. So yeah, man, we're in a sticky situation right now. From a precious metal standpoint, I think you couldn't ask for a better time to potentially jump on, because eventually when this does lean out and it gets rectified, I mean, the energy alone that's going to be supplied and bring everyone back up to speed will be enough probably. And again, no crystal ball. I mean, you could see 15, 20% spikes, hence why Goldman Sachs, hence why all the major banks, hence why Bank of America right now is coming out and claiming Q4 for precious metals. I mean, they have gold pegged at $6,300 an ounce.
Yeah, so see if you can fix your camera, reset your camera. I don't know if it's that or Zoom, but what you said was absolutely on the money. What I ran with midterms coming up, it's about like, if you don't get the gas prices back down, yeah, it would hurt them in the midterms. But this year, the midterms, it's going to be tricky because you have a lot of the, with the SCOTUS ruling on the race-based districts taken out and everybody's adjusting for it, it probably puts off that balance. We're going to see what's going to happen with the Senate. But same thing what we do every year, every 2 years with voting is, how do we fix our elections? And that's a fight. And who knows what's going to get done. But oil always plays a big role in elections. I mean, food prices. I'm not feeling food prices. I know the food prices are still. You're back, right? There we go.
Well, what's weird?
Food prices are still like where they shouldn't be. It still costs a lot of money to go to the damn supermarket when it shouldn't.
Well, let me interject.
But when you're a billionaire, that doesn't affect you. What?
But interestingly enough, George, in my market, I did see some drops in food prices a little bit. Not on the big items like beef and chicken, but I did see pork come down some because my mom likes bacon, and so I buy it for her. She's 93. I don't try to stop her from having what she wants. And I did see that eggs were way down, but a lot of other things aren't. So it's like a couple of pockets of things are down, but not everything. And of course, the pumps are down a little bit. I don't know how long that'll hold. The ceasefire's over today. And I think what Keith said, I think the midterms are lost. And I think we have to plan on that, because unless they do a major amount of deep state rests, the conservative world, at least what I see in the chat rooms, are all very unhappy with the progress that Kash Patel, and in this case, Todd Blanche, although I'm not blaming him, I think it was more Pam Bondi, and Donald Trump, when it comes to actually securing our elections, proving the theft and fraud, bringing the culpable parties to justice. There really hasn't been any accountability consequences or even real true transparency when it comes to the crimes that have been committed against the American people in our election system. And currently, they've got a problem because the people on the conservative side, MAGA, the people that really want the country to be great, they're very unhappy. So let me switch back here. Let's talk about this. So the ceasefire is over today. And of course, there's a deal on the table. Will they sign it? I guess we'll just wait and see. I don't know what that deal looks like. We haven't heard the details of the deal, really. We've heard some general statements about it. What do you think? Gold fell a little bit because the ceasefire is coming over. So the volatility that, normally you don't see quite as much volatility in gold and silver. What do you think? Is this an opportunity, Keith? Is this a time, because there's some volatility, should people, and again, I hate to even talk about buying the bottom, because, that's one of the, I could have waited. I could have, but that fear of missing out, right? That decision to not do something. What do you think? What do you think we're seeing here over the next, say, 8 months? Is this a good entry point right now, in your opinion?
Well, it's a great question. And here's the reality with precious metals. They're probably the most expensive, give or take, they've ever been, but they're probably going to be the cheapest you're ever going to be able to get in on them. And the reason I say this is that geopolitically aside, over the next few months, and I know you and I had talked about this off camera, not only do we have a geopolitical piece that's going on, that of the uncertainty and midterms and nonstop of just undecisiveness going on in the markets, period. I think where a lot of people maybe are not brought up to speed, and I know this is kind of you and George's area of expertise, is, what's the future hold over the next year with these AI data center build outs? What's the future hold with everything that's coming online with the tokenization of stable coins, with, an abundance of EV, an abundance of cell phones? What's really funny? I was reading yesterday, Apple, and this year coming up, is coming out with like 12 new upgraded products. All of those products at some point or another contain silver components. Might be on a small scale, but they contain silver components. So what's happening is that you're seeing an industrial side that we've never seen before, that's just continuing to get larger and larger and larger. And the reality is, if the geopolitics of it really jam it up, we have no idea. We could see highs. We could see precious metals go to a point that we don't know where it could be going right now. I think geopolitically, I do agree with you. I think we're kind of in a mess. There's just too much undecisiveness going on. You can't have a White House administration every other day that can't make a decision. Every other day coming on national TV, we have a deal, we don't have a deal, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, because the geopolitics of it just look horrible. And now let's look at the aftermath of what's going on, like you said. I mean, midterms come up and they start taking a pounding. Listen, precious metals, the whole sectors could really ramp. And I think your entry points between now and over the next couple of months could be really, really strong. I mean, gold and silver has shown that it can outlast geopolitics, and it will. And once this ceasefire is completed, which it'll have to be at some point, and energy reserves start coming back up, I mean, the sky could be the limit at the end of the day, to be quite honest with you.
Well, we're talking about Iran, of course, that's the hot topic, but there's lots of other topics, right? The fact that BRICS nations are still accumulating and increasing their reserves. So you have to look at that, because I believe that's part of the reason that everything got driven up, the only part, but an important part, because even though BRICS isn't quite as hot to trot in the news as it was during the Biden administration, because we had a weak presidency and an installed president. Clearly the guy was trying to run the presidency from the basement of his Delaware house. Wasn't doing a very good job. Of course, he had dementia and Alzheimer's. Nobody wanted to admit that. But those, BRICS really started to push, because, of course, many countries would like to see the U.S. dollar detached from the, as the petrodollar. People don't want to see it there. So let's go beyond Iran. Let's talk about the impact of all these other events. Of course, you've still got the Ukraine-Russia war going on. I think Ukraine made a major mistake on this last strike. I don't know when Putin's going to literally, everybody has to remember Putin's background as a KGB guy. He's going to get to a point, and I think he's getting close to it. I think because I see his behavior on camera is changing. My personal opinion, he's about ready to lose his shit. And if he does, I don't think that Ukraine is prepared for it. Hopefully the U.S. doesn't continue to just funnel money in there, because the amount of theft in that war. But that's not the only place. You've got this tremendous amount of instability in Northern Africa, right? You've got, saber rattling from China to Taiwan. So I guess my question would be, those pieces, and even BRICS still accumulating, because the BRICS nations are still buying. It would seem to me that there haven't been any major finds. I look online all the time, like big major gold reserve found. They talk about meteorites and space and the moon and all this other garbage, but let's face it, none of that is really a possibility at this point. There's no mining of meteorites. There's no this or that. That's a pipe dream right now. Maybe Elon Musk with SpaceX and maybe some of these other platforms. What do you think, though? Don't you feel like there's a shortage coming up? If there's this accumulation, because when BRICS nations accumulate gold, and I'll even throw something in here. George, is there any gold in Fort Knox?
No, but you're bringing up BRICS, and I was just thinking, I'm like, you don't hear much of BRICS.
Well, because Putin pulled back on BRICS, and so did a couple of the other nations, because they were getting threatened by the U.S. about, Donald Trump said, if you put our dollar under attack with BRICS, you're going to face financial sanctions. So a lot of them got nervous because he did the tariff thing. Of course, all the stupid judiciary and all those people that push back, which who knows why anybody would push back on the U.S. taking in more money. I don't get that part, but okay, whatever. What do you think? Let's be Kreskin. Let's be predictive here, Keith. Am I right? Isn't there a major shortage because there haven't been any huge gold or silver finds? I haven't heard of anything colossal they've located. There's been some small finds around the globe, but nothing where they go, oh my God, we just found, 8 trillion ounces. There hasn't been anything like, oh, wow. Or am I missing something?
No, you're correct. There really hasn't. And then on top of it, the big bugaboo that, and it's amazing that nobody, and this is really, really wild, that nobody in mainstream media is picking this up and really talking about it, and the moves that China has made behind the scenes with the whole sulfuric acid scenario, which is ingredients that when they go to mine silver, that is part of it, because when it's coming out of the ground with other ingredients in it and other metals involved, you need certain mechanisms to help produce that and mine that. And they control roughly about 70% of market conditions with that actual material. And now in the last 60 days, they've come out and said, hey, listen, we are not going to allow this to come out of the country. We are not going to allow this to go anywhere but stay in our country. And this effect, again, going long term down the road over just the silver pieces alone could be huge. I mean, right now they're buying silver 10, 15, 20% above COMEX, above LBMA. I mean, in China, just to get the product because of their AI and their data centers. So you take that piece, then you take your piece, the whole brick thing that has been put to the side right now. But the reality is this, guys. The reality is this. They've been looking to break the dollar forever. They've been looking to get this dollar off this petro. And they've been looking to get the United States where they're just not controlling everything anymore. And if they get that on, and maybe it does take longer than anticipated, and maybe they don't. But what kind of aftermath that happens with us when that's completed or not completed? And we're seeing it right now. I mean,
so I want to bring something up. But there was a big gold find, a new one found, I think in March, I believe it was, or February. Okay. Unfortunately, it was in China. It was China's Hunan province, where they said geologists discovered a supergiant high-grade gold deposit in the Wangu gold field, which is valued, they're saying, at today's price is like $80-something billion right now.
But of course, that won't be coming out of China. They'll be keeping all of it right there. The government has probably already secured all of it and told that company or whoever it is that you found it, but we're taking it. That's how it operates. So that doesn't even come into the market. I mean, but I didn't know that, George. I probably don't pay much attention to China when I'm looking at the possibilities.
I'm looking, they say Russia and Australia have the largest unmined gold reserves in the world.
Well, they do say that about Australia, but it's funny. We don't hear the finds being found. Now, I always think with technology that'll change. But if you have a bunch of nations that are buying gold and it doesn't ever come back onto the market, and I said to Keith, we were having a discussion on Sunday, and I brought something up. I said, if George is right and I'm right, and there is no gold in Fort Knox, what would be the impact of the U.S. government having to sneakily, and I say sneakily because they wouldn't want a meltdown on the dollar, right? What would the impact be if that gold, because let's face it, Elon Musk came out and said they were going to do an audit, and Donald Trump said they were going to do an audit. And then all of a sudden it was like, audit? Oh no. Audit? Are you, what audit? There's no stinking audit. That just stopped dead and everybody got suspicious because of it. Why wouldn't you do a camera run through? I'm not saying they couldn't have a bunch of gold bars that were sprayed to look like gold. Is that possible? I don't put anything past them. We always talked about, Keith, I don't understand why our gold has been valued at $40-some in Fort Knox.
Because there's no gold there. Doesn't matter.
$46. They've never revalued it at current prices. And so I don't even get that part. But what do you, Keith, let's just say hypothetical. I know, unless you have an inside story or inside information, I don't know. Hypothetically, what if the U.S. had to, on the underbelly, right? Because they couldn't go public. They'd have to be making acquisitions through brokers and intermediaries, probably having to pay over spot. What would that do if the U.S. had to replace the gold in Fort Knox?
Oh gosh, you could have, it would be felt immediately because like you said, the basis of it is that it's filled to the rim and we're sitting on, they haven't released, no one really knows how many tons. And I don't disagree with you or George on that. I don't know that we're sitting on anything at all. And if we are, I don't know why they haven't come clean with the general public. And if they're not, that tribulation through the markets, through the precious metals arena, you could probably, if they actually came out and said, hey, we are limited, or we have very little. We don't really have anything. Our holdings are nil because we had to sell everything off because of cash reserves, because our country is now coming up on $37 trillion in debt load and we can't pay anything. To be quite honest with you, that answer could be infinitive. I mean, we could turn around and, first off, the fiat currency would just get absolutely abomished to the point where your dollars. Let's play it out, right? So when we come off,
and I want to give you a small correction. I wanted to double check because I wasn't sure. Our debt is at 39.2.
Yeah, I mean, so we're to the point now of no return. Now we have no precious metals that are back in our country to back our fiat currency. Since we came off the gold exchange in August 15th of 71, when Nixon came out in his infinitive wisdom and blew it out, inflation since 71 through 2026 is 700%. So now you're asking me, hey, Keith,
that's a small number.
700%. And now you're telling me not only that, we have no gold and silver left anywhere. We're done. It would be monumental. I mean,
I don't think they would go public, though. I think they would they would never tell the public because, of course, then the petrodollar comes into question, the U.S. dollar.
What, that we have no gold?
Yeah, I don't think they'd ever be public.
If that would happen, our dollar would collapse. We'd go into depression, and a lot of other countries would follow suit.
But if all of a sudden somebody had to go out in the market through intermediaries and brokers, and they had to start, trying to replace these tons of bullion, hypothetically, and I know, listen, man, I mean,
we could just take everybody's gold out of the New York bank there, where they're holding everybody else's gold. We could just take that.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Well, and and with how many countries owe us money, I sometimes think that's, I like to be the collection agent for all the countries that owe us money and have never paid us back. But Keek, hypothetical. I know you don't have a silver, crystal ball, but hypothetically, if they had to go out and acquire these tons of gold to replace what's in Fort Knox, and they weren't public, theoretically, what do you think would happen to gold price-wise?
15,000 an ounce.
Which is a huge upside. I mean, that's huge. And that's exactly what I want the audience to think about. And that's why, I like to have experts like you and Jonathan on the show, because that's a gigantic number. Now, I don't know if they'd also try to, use some silver to do that, but let's say theoretically they decided they were going to
They can't use the silver to do that.
They can't use silver at all. They're not allowed to.
Well, it's not that. I mean, at the end of the day, again, like I said earlier, here's the reality. And again, in my professional opinion, with the silver, the industrial side now has become the evolution of industrial usage for silver. I think over the next 5 years, let alone the next 10 or 15 years, is going to be so monumental that I don't know that they'll ever run out of it per se, but I think it's going to put that particular metal in a position to where it could be really, really tough to get a hold of. Now, will it take silver to $1,000 an ounce? I don't know that it will or will not, but I think the silver percentages are going to be really, really limited because of just the data centers. And I know you and I spoke about that offline a little bit. I mean, over the next 2 to 5 years on the AI data centers alone, just the data centers that they're building worldwide, you tell me what silver consumption on that end, what does that look like, and how do they, and if China strangles everyone with the import export of the ingredients, especially with the sulfuric acid, because they're looking to increase AI centers by 50-fold in that country alone. I mean, it could really turn into a big to do. It really could, and
that's powerful what you just said, because they always say, you always want to be the guy selling the shovels when it comes to the gold rush, right? You always want to be the guy. And the fact that China is preemptively thinking, well, we're going to control the sulfuric acid, we're going to control the cyanide or whatever else they've got planned. It doesn't matter what it is. That, of course, all those commodities are going to escalate. All right, we've got to take a short break here on the Big Mig Show. When we come back, we're going to talk about more what the industrial uses are, what that looks like for silver, and the fact that it doesn't matter whether it's green energy, EV technology, data centers, or the military-industrial complex. There's a deficit, and it's ugly. Stay tuned. The Big Mig Show will be right back with George Ballantine, Keith Heit, Lance Migliaccio. Stay here. We want to help you, and that's what the show's all about. While we're on the break, take the live link, share it far and wide, hit that follow button, and we'll be right back.
Don't go nowhere.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit cspoa.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's cspoa.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA, the future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit blocktrustira.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these canine units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit warriordogfoundation.org.
All right, welcome back to the Big Mig Show. Here with your host, Lance Migliaccio. Yours truly, the boss, George Ballantine, and our guest from Genesis Gold Group, Keith Heit. But first, if you're out there watching and listening, if you join the chat, come join the chat. But don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, the follow, like button, share, repost. And if you can subscribe for $5 a month, we truly appreciate it. Every little bit helps because equipment, software, everything costs money to run. So if you can, please do. But most importantly, we love your support. But Lance and I, we got the perfect solution for the people that can't watch their crypto 24/7. I'm talking about Block Trust IRA. They're bringing access to cryptocurrency wealth to everyday people. Their exclusive Animus AI trading platform works 24/7, analyzing market data and executing advanced crypto strategies that go far beyond buy and hold. This sophisticated technology, once reserved only for Wall Street insiders, now it's available to you. And this system was named #1 crypto technology platform by Bitcoin Magazine out of more than 1,500 global competitors. Our clients are already seeing over 250% returns on their investments, all with military-grade security and up to $200 million insurance. Your wealth is fully protected, so don't wait. Visit bigmigcrypto.com today and see how you can join this financial revolution that's finally giving everyday Americans access to this crypto opportunity of a lifetime. Once again, visit bigmigcrypto.com today and you get up to $2,500 of free crypto. QR codes on the screen. Take a screenshot, links in the chat, and links in the more section under the video. We got you covered. All you got to do is just go there. But after the show, because Keith has got some more things we're going to talk about. Specifically, all right, we're bringing up all precious metals, but we look at it at what silver, how it's facing another deficit this year. You have 6 consecutive years of shortages. I mean, what are we looking at here?
It's going to get worse because of the industrial usage again. Yeah, between the EV cars. Okay, let's talk about that for just a moment, right? And look at now you have 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you had Tesla. It was 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 Elon Musk. Now you have every major car manufacturer on planet Earth making electric cars. Well, those components take certain portions of that metal. So now how large is that scale? Now let's talk about the solar industry with solar on roofs and neighborhoods. I know with the tax credits, that was a big to-do because everybody was getting the tax credits written off. It's still kind of going, even though they limited those tax credits, they brought them back. And we still have probably 50 to 60 million homes just in the United States of America that could be looking at additional solar components, right? So between solar and EV alone, over the next probably 5 years, forget about all the additional, I know we've been talking about with the data centers and everything else that's going on. What type of trickle effect do you think that's going to happen? I mean, at some point, the deficits are going to run so tight that coming out of the ground is just going to become tougher and tougher, which then is going to lead to higher and higher prices all the way across the board. And I think that's what we're looking at. And then we haven't even spoken about the cell phone scenario. So you really have 3 major deals going on between cell phones, cars, and solar. And we haven't even touched the AI data centers.
When you bring up solar, anybody I know that got solar panels are not happy because they're sold on this. I don't know if they're not reading their contracts or whatever these people are doing, but they're all still paying money for their bills when they really shouldn't be. And you look, there's a lot of lawsuits against these solar companies that have had to get out of your contracts because of.
Correct. Well, the components, what's happened in solar is that that industry grew so fast that you had all these renegade outfits out there that were out there. You had Dickie the Dunce that could do solar panels for your house. And now he comes up, he underbids everybody that comes to your house. He puts the solar panels up, right? And now 6 months later, he's out of business. Well, in most of those contracts, you have to go back to the original manufacturer, and those solar panels, the bulk of them are not manufactured in the United States of America. They're overseas. Whether they be Europe, whether they be China. So now that manufacturer has to supply an answer for you. And that's what's caused a huge, huge mess for a lot of people with the roofs. You are correct on that, George, for sure.
The only one, there's 2 people I know that are happy is they actually got Tesla solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you don't even know they're solar panels. They look like roof shingles, by the way, but they say they're happy. They're making money. They get paid from the selling extra electricity. So I don't know if it's people they're not reading contracts or, like you said, these fly-by-nighters are just taking advantage. But, some of the companies like, Sunrun, I know is one of them. A lot of people have problems with. A lot of lawsuits against them and others. Correct. But we'll see how that one progresses. I don't know.
And you just have a large between that, the cell phones and the EV cars. And have we even... Here's the thing with the electric vehicles, right? Like where, at the end of the day, where is that going? Is gas cars in the next 5 years? Because depending on what state you live in and depending on where you're at in the United States of America, I mean, as you guys probably both know, they have laws in the books where a lot of these states by 2033, 2034, 2035, they don't even want any gas vehicles on the road.
I know California's like that. Who else?
Yeah. I mean, you got a couple of Western states that have been looking at stuff like that. So you got scenarios that are playing out right now, gentlemen, that could really turn the precious metals and turn the silver industry into numbers that I don't even know if they're going to be able to fulfill it. I don't know. I wish I could sit here and tell both of you I have a direct answer on that. I can tell you this, it's getting thinner and thinner. And the deficits year by year are getting less and less as far as what's coming out of the ground, what they're able to mine, how they're getting it to market, and what's that indirectly going to do. And we haven't even touched on the million square foot AI data centers that, I don't know how many right now in the United States of America are currently under construction or in the process of getting plans.
Yeah, and they're trying to take people's property, eminent domain, for data centers, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
these
a
data
fight.
centers, the Samsung technology on EVs requires 1 kilo of silver per vehicle.
Yeah, but is that even out in the market, those batteries?
I went and looked it up before the show. It looks like they've got multiple contracts with people. It does not appear that the technology has gone downstream, George. They've got
because Elon Musk just came out with a different way of doing the batteries now.
He did, and I always wonder about hydrogen fuel cell. But the need is the data centers. You've got Snap, who wants to install data nodes all over the country in residential homes. They're dealing with Pulte and other home builders right now. They want new homes. They want to put them in, and they're talking about how you can get paid to have one of these data nodes, right? Those require silver. You've got the major data centers all over the globe. They all require silver. So let's do something for the audience right now. Let's talk about, Heath. I'd like to just, give them your picture. Let's say somebody's sitting on a major amount of wealth in an IRA, in a regular fund, in their own bank in Wall Street. What do you think the correct number based on, and again, I know you're doing a little crystal balling and I know nothing's perfect. What do you think people should be doing now to protect their assets? Like, what kind of a ratio? If they have $1 in the stock market, should 10% of that be in precious metals, 30%, 20%? And what does that look like moving forward? Should they be accumulating at these prices? Should they buy some now and another in a month? For the entry points, because everybody wants the best entry point. Everybody wants to buy the stock when it's pennies, right? And they hope that it turns into NVIDIA.
Most importantly, Keith, let them know where they got to go to buy this.
Well, and what that process looks like, because people sometimes, they're confused. We get the messages. They don't really understand. How do I do it with my IRA? Are there any penalties? How do I switch? How do I hold? So let's just give them the whole package of whether it's IRA, whether it's regular investment, maybe they just want to buy straight from you, how that kind of works, and what you think the correct ratios would be. I know you can't predict the future, but why should they do it at these amounts? Why? Because I know last time Jonathan Rose was on the show, I don't know if this still holds, he was saying that Genesis was promoting 70% silver against 30% gold. Now, that was quite some time ago. I'd like to give the audience an update of what it should look like in their portfolio. Because again, we talk about crypto. Block Trust IRA is a great product over there with Animus Technologies, Jonathan Rose and the team again. But I think it's an amazing product. Maximilian's a really smart guy. So what's the ratio for precious metals? And is there any other precious metal besides gold and silver that maybe needs to trickle in there also?
All really, really good points. I think the bulk of our clients, or a lot of the clients that I personally deal with behind the scenes, when it comes to their actual monetary money, what I have seen that works for a lot of people is anywhere from about 15 to 30% of their overall portfolio. They're looking at total protection. But you have to remember, when you get into the precious metals arena from a protection standpoint, and you're rolling over an IRA or 401k, you are correct. There are stipulations, there are laws. Example, if you're over 59 and a half, you're tax-free, you're penalty-free. You don't have to worry about that. If you're under 59 and a half, you can have a tax situation. In that case, most of our clients that are under the 59 and a half age range, a lot of them we have found out have just done what we refer to as straight cash deals. And again, portfolio-wise, it can be anywhere from 10% to 20% to 30%. We have some clients that go all in. I think that comes down to a couple of things here. Personal choices on how you view your money and what you're looking to do. And most importantly, and this is really overlooked by a lot of people, they don't realize that when you are in the banking system and when your money is out there, unless you're in a bank and you have it in a checking account, right, or a personal savings account, your FDIC is $250,000 in protection. Anything over that, there's nothing. If you're out of that and you're in a 401k or you're in an IRA, you have no protection at all. So here at Genesis Gold Group, what we really look to do is just to separate our clients from that banking situation to where they're in total control with a self-directed IRA. They're the custodian of their money, meaning that They actually own and operate their money, because when you go into the financial institutions, you are not the custodian of your money. That means they are the custodian of their money, of your money, and they have total control of it. Now, from a portfolio standpoint, if you said to me, hey, Keith, I want to give you $50,000, and what's the right percentage on that? I do agree with Jonathan. We're still probably about the 70-30 ratios. And the reason is because of what we've been talking about for the last hour when it comes to silver. At some point, that product itself is going to run so thin, and where's it going to take the price points? I mean, where are they going to look like in the next 5 years?
No idea.
And then that's it.
That's the
No
thing,
idea.
right? I don't think we know, but I think that if we look at the markets, it's kind of like what they're saying about copper, all these things we just described.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that silver it has to go up because supply and demand. When there's a high demand and there isn't enough supply, everything goes up. I don't care if it's corn, wheat, any of the commodities, lead, it doesn't matter what it is. And I think that's the genius of and that's not even factoring the genius of the Chinese, that they want to control the shovels.
Yeah.
If you control the shovels, you control the market. The fact that they've built so much infrastructure to control it, that's another piece of this. So let's say somebody wants to invest $100,000, right? And they've got, let's say they've got a couple of $1 million in liquid asset net worth. They want to do 100,000. Can you kind of explain the process? Let's say this is an IRA investment. How does that work? What do they do? And then I know you're doing some stuff that I'm shocked. I've never given out Jonathan Rose's private number. And you're literally going to share your private number for anybody if they really have some hard questions.
Sure.
Which that's unheard of. We don't usually get, people that are chief operations officers saying, hey.
You want me to put your I didn't know that. You want me put your number in the chat for the people?
Well, I listen, this is what I told Lance before the show started.
That's why I want to confirm.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I want to make this clear about Genesis Gold Group. We're client first, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we can't help you and get you the protection you need until the first step, which is the real conversation. The conversation, the uncomfortable conversation, meaning that what are you looking to do? What are you looking to protect? And most importantly, this is the part that so many folks overlook. It's the children. It's the grandchildren. Are you leaving them anything? Do you want to do anything for them? Is your, like Lance just referred to, if you have a $2 million portfolio or a $1 million portfolio, does it kill you to take $100,000 or $150,000 and say, hey, look, I want to separate myself. I want to be in charge of my own currency. I want to be my custodian. And at the end of the day, we're consultants. We're here to consult you. We're here to help you, whether it be myself. Listen, I have gentlemen in my office. I have gentlemen in our organization that are so well-rounded. We have a gentleman here in our Las Vegas office, TJ. He has been 26 years of financial sector experience. He has sold every instrument known to mankind, can answer any question you have. That's the power we have at Genesis Gold Group. But I want to make this clear, gentlemen. It starts with the phone call. It starts with, hey, Keith, I'm looking for some added protection. I need some help, but I want some honest answers. Because at the end of the day, if it's not a good fit, it's okay. No one's mad. We're not charging you nothing. It's a free consultation. You have nothing to lose. So with that being said, here's what I told Lance. If you have some clients out there and there are some people out there that are really serious and they're like, look, man, I need some help. Can you talk to me and help me? Just call me direct. And that number is simple. It's 424-317-9871. And I'll say it one more time. It's 424-317-9871. And that number actually comes right to my office desk. And I'll be more than happy to answer questions and really deep dive on it, and or get you to the people that can answer your questions and help you. Because at the end of the day, here's the reality of the world we're living in. You have to start looking at alternate protection plans. And gold and silver is the best hedge on planet Earth. It has been for 6,000 years. And I got news for you. It's not going anywhere.
And for the audience, you got, I mean, the fact that you don't have to go through an intermediary, and let me emphasize this just for, and some people have already dealt with Genesis Gold Group. We have lots of people that have already been dealing with them. What I love about them, and this is not an infomercial, I truly believe this, they're just not high pressure.
No.
They really do want to educate you, and they want to put you in a position where you know what you're doing and you understand it. And like you just him talking about the staff in their office. Jonathan Rose is very particular about the people he hires. He's very particular about their level of experience. He's very particular. He is an OCD, anal retentive guy, in my opinion. He's very, this little detail and this little, when he's involved, and of course he's super busy. But when you get his attention, he's extremely detail oriented. And that's what I love about it. And you can look online. Their reputation says it, that they didn't get high pressured. They send you the information, they follow up, but it's not like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's not like a lot of the other gold companies where they're like, And that's why we really teamed up with them. We had a lot of different companies come to us that wanted to do gold and silver with us. And we picked Genesis out of all of them. We thought, okay, well, these guys are a good fit. Everything they're saying to me makes me feel comfortable. And I don't like to make referrals. I don't like to make referrals to people I don't really trust. And I actually trust Jonathan Rose and the team. I've just gotten to know Keith, but I can tell you the dialogue we had, we clicked almost instantly, which, with us, we're a little edgy here on this show. We kind of bring it. All right. No,
Hold on. I got a question from the chat.
Oh, yeah, please.
From Craig Mutley. He asks, what about someone with a $50,000 IRA who wants to convert it to silver? Should they do so?
Yes.
That's all they got. What?
If absolutely have him give us a call, we can certainly walk him through all the steps. We do it every single day.
Okay. Now, I know you're doing some stuff. And Jonathan Rose is very particular about the offers he makes because he wants to be able to deliver. I know you had talked about some things you want to offer the audience. And by the way, for the audience, we're going to try to have Keith on more often. We're going to try to schedule it in however we can. So he's here so that you can get in the chat. Any questions in the chat, fire them off right now. If you want to know about anything, ask, man. Don't be shy about it because that's why he's here today. It's not about selling product. It's because we always want to educate you guys so we can protect our audience. I know that sounds like a bunch of crap, but it's true. The reason George and I do what we do, a lot of times George and I talk to each other about how do we create value. You guys have seen us skip a show because we think the news cycle is just garbage. I'm not going to sit here and talk about some worthless news or some worthless information or a worthless guest just to get clicks. This is actually about providing quality because we want our audience, we want the Big McMafia and our mods and everybody else. We want to improve your life. Not like every other show that we're just trying to crush a bunch of products down your throat. So let's talk about what you came up with some stuff with Jonathan. This is stuff we haven't done before. These are offers that you guys have never offered to our clientele. So you're going to take a chop on some things that you're going to do because you really want to provide some value. And I, first of all, thank you for doing that for the audience. I appreciate it, Keith. So,
no, thank you for having us on.
But the fact that you guys are coming to the plate, nobody ever wants to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to take a chop. You know what I mean? And the point is you're passing through value. So talk about what you can provide. What extra stuff you're going to give the audience just to help them?
Well, we're going to, if we get some clients to come on and to decide to move forward for the protection, we're going to waive first year fees. That's upwards of about, $400 or $500 in fees that, custodial fees, Delaware depository fees. We're going to waive all of that. We're going to free consultations. You can come in. We'll spend all the time we need to with you. There's no charge on that. And that's kind of really what we're looking to do. If we can get you in and we can talk to you and we can kind of break it down, because at the end of the day, I always tell everyone, it's funny you're asking me this, Lance. I was at a dinner last week and I ran into some acquaintances that I hadn't seen in quite some time. It's actually was a number of years. And they were like, Keith, what are you up to? What's been going on? How's everything going? And who you with now? And I said, I'm in the protection business. And one of the guests kind of looked at me awkwardly, like in the protection business, like, are you bodyguarding someone? Like, what are you doing? What are you protecting? And it was kind of funny. So one time I was actually, really, really big guy. And I said, no, I'm not in the bodyguarding business. I'm in the protection business to protect people for themselves and their families. And that's at Genesis Gold Group. And you did hit on something earlier, and I do want to hit this really quick. We are not in any way, shape, or form your typical gold company. We're a very small organization by design. I want to make that very clear, by design, because we have a client first mentality. We help our clients, we walk them through it, we get them set up, and most importantly, when that is done, we service that client all the way through. And there's so many things that we do that I'm not here to talk bad about anyone, that just other organizations do not do and refuse to do. We leave I hate to say it, we leave a lot of money on the table because we're not that organization that is about greed and about taking all your money. And that we're just not. We're here to help you and get you where you need to go. And like I said earlier, listen, if the worst thing at the end of the day is you take 30 minutes to make a phone call to decide whether this can help you and this can protect you and your kin and your children and your grandchildren, what's wrong with that? It doesn't cost you a dime. So with that being said, yeah, man, we're going to waive fees. We're going to do a lot of great stuff. We're going to bring folks on and we're going to be able to educate you and show you the Genesis Gold Group way and how we do things. And most importantly, I want to make this clear. We have the information for you. So when you ask the hard questions or the uncomfortable questions, we will answer it. And you know what's funny? My father taught me years ago, Keith, sometimes in life, your best friend can be a stranger. And it works in this industry because we're not judging you. We don't prejudge any client. If you call me and say, Keith, I got $20,000, and the next guy calls me and I got $250 million, the guy that has $250 million, believe it or not, is not going to be treated any differently or spoken to any differently than a gentleman that has $20,000. We just don't operate in that capacity. We have a lot of integrity, and that's what separates us from the pack.
All right, Keith, I got another question from the chat from Renee. What's up, Renee? She asks, what if I don't have like big amounts like to invest, but she has maybe like 5,000 to diversify with?
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a starting point, right? And again, I'll go back to give us a call. And she's coming from the Big Mig show. She has a lot of interest. And we'll work with the smaller clients if we need to, because everyone deserves a starting point. So yes, we can work with her and speak with her to see where she's at. That's not a problem.
There you go, Renee.
You know, I want to remind the audience, for some people, they didn't catch the Jonathan Rose Global Finance Forum. That show blew up. It was the #1 finance show on Rumble during that time period. We did it every Friday. People loved it. We got all kinds of email about it and everything else. You guys have this crazy, because a lot of gold and silver, because they go for the jugular, right? They try to rip people's wallet out from underneath them. Your guys' retention rate, you have people that have been with Genesis Gold for decades. It seems like once you get a client, into the Genesis Gold Group family, they don't leave. And see, that means for me, there's people I've been doing business with for 35 years, 40 years. I got them. I like them. I trust them. Maybe they weren't the cheapest. I don't know what it is, but it's the way they treat me. I can call them up. They're like family, and I can get something done immediately. And when Jonathan was talking about the retention rate, which I think speaks, an incredible amount, because, when you go online, everybody's under onslaught. There's always somebody spinning or selling something, right? You go out on social media. Your guys' retention rate has been ridiculous. I mean, when Jonathan was popping off numbers, I was shocked that most clients never leave.
We have a lot. I mean, we have, I don't know, listen, the exact number, I can tell you it's in the thousands. I mean, because at the end of the day, we just do business the old fashioned way, which is the right way. I mean, there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. And we are not, and I want to make this really crystal clear, because I am sure that you have clients on your show or subscribers on your show that have dealt with other organizations, regardless of whether it's gold or silver or anything else they're buying. And if it's not a good fit and it doesn't make sense, that's okay. We part as friends, and down the road we can revisit. We're not a group of people that hound our people. We just don't do that. And I'll tell you why. We don't have to. We just don't have to. We're in the business to protect you and your family to the best of your ability, and to open up your eyes that there is a better way to get out of the system, to get out underneath the banking cartel and control your actual money. Because at the end of the day, gentlemen, and I know both of you are very well versed in this, right now, currently, we live in a world where you're really not in control like you think you are. And especially when it comes to your money and financial instruments, you're not in control of it. When you come over to this side, we put you in control. You're the person that's worked all your life for your finances. You're the person that has, got up every day and went to your career or went to your job for 30 or 40 or 50 years. I mean, don't you deserve to control your own money? And that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about that quite a bit, and that's why we always our shows are different because we'll have a Democrat on the show. We'll have a nonpartisan. We'll have Republicans. And it isn't just that. We'll get people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter whether it's UFC, special forces, doctors, authors, documentarians, celebrities, actors and actresses. We try to do everything because all walks of life, I always feel like there's always, these great shreds of information that come from people. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know you up until a couple of days ago. I'd heard Jonathan had a new guy, and you and I were trying to connect. And of course, Jonathan's been so busy. I've left him, half a dozen messages, and he'll give me that.
You just want to give it the gold prepper bar, Lance.
Yeah. Well, now Jonathan did promise George a gold prepper bar based on some things, and I think George over-delivered on it.
Every time he tries to give me a challenge, I've beat him.
Now, I want to say that we haven't come to Vegas to collect yet.
George, I'm going
to want to see George and myself knocking on the door of Genesis.
Wait, Lance, hold on. What was that, Keith?
George, I am personally going to send you your own gold prepper bar. I promise you. We're going to get it out.
Lance,
hold on. No. Wait a minute. Hang on. Because Lance was talking about gold. Let me reconfigure that. I'm going to personally send you your old silver prepper bar. We're going to get it out to you.
Yo, bro.
The bait and switch.
See right here? Yo, hold on, Lance. Look at the screen. You see what I got in my hand?
Yeah.
That's my silver prepper bar.
Hold on a minute. I got to renege on everything. That was the bait switch. You guys, hang on a minute. We got.
You know what, Lance? You know what the best part about editing is?
Yeah.
I could edit out all the shit he said afterwards and just keep the part where he said, "I'm going to personally send you a gold prepper bar." Do not mess with George.
That's a verbal contract. But listen. First of all, Keith.
I got family in Vegas. Very well connected too over there.
Okay. Yeah. I got to say this. I didn't know what to expect. Right when we finally got connected, you and I, and I'm happily.
Jonathan Rose is like, oh my God.
I can see why you're now the in charge of Genesis Gold Group. I think Jonathan Rose has made a good decision because Jonathan Rose always over-delivered on the shows. I think you've done the same thing for our audience. So number one, thanks. Now, I like the transparency. I like the authenticity. We're just a couple of knock-around guys. We don't like to bullshit our audience. It is what it is, right? That's the Big Mig show. When you come here, it's authentic. And I'm happy to see that the reins of Genesis Gold Group have been given to a guy that I think is authentic. And so let me do this one more time for everybody in the audience. Let me give the phone numbers again. Now, remember, you're going to get directly to Keith. You're not going to get bullshitted. You're not going to go
through. Phone numbers on the screen, but go ahead.
Right. But let me just do it again. 424-317-9871. He'll send out the informational packets. Don't be shy. Talk to him like you do in our chat. Just lay it out. Let me emphasize this. Don't worry about how much money you have or don't have. Don't feel like because you're starting with 5,000 or you're starting with 10,000, that doesn't mean anything. You got to start. And this is the difficulty that's always hard for people. They struggle with because they feel like, well, I only have this much. It's not only have this much. Today you have that much, but if you make good decisions, maybe tomorrow you'll have more. And the next day you'll have more. And I always say this, go to the toolbox for the right tool. Always go to the person that's the expert. If I need some technical advice, I'm a technical idiot compared to George. I understand some things, but he is highly skilled. If I'm having an issue technically, I'm going to ask George a lot of questions. He'll probably get frustrated with me. He'll probably get angry with me because that's George. But the point is, I know that he's the right guy to go for that. And I'm sure George maybe leans on me for certain pieces of information. That's what you do. You surround yourself with experts that have made a lot of money in an industry, and that's how you lift up your game. So that's why we're with Genesis Gold Group. Again, this isn't a freaking infomercial. This is just that I trust these guys, and it's taken us. We've been with these guys for years now. So the point is, I've learned a lot about them personally, their personal lives and the rest. I don't know Keith yet, but I look forward to maybe getting to know him more personally. Because I appreciate the way you came on here today. So for the audience, you guys know what to do. If you like the show, thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe. Again, that number, 424-317-9871. If you want to call the 800 line, you can, but I think you're crazy. Call the head honcho, the head cheese right here. Call Keith. Don't be shy. Just spin it out. I don't care if you've got the $10 million in your IRA. I don't care what you've got. I don't care if you have $10. He's the guy to talk to, and he'll give you the right roadmap. And if it's a good fit, it's a good fit. So Keith, thanks, man. First of all, time's the most valuable commodity. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. You guys out there, follow G Ballantine, follow the Big Mig Show on X. George is going to do short form content. Share this show with all your friends and family. tell them, listen, I think these guys could be a good choice. I know you're thinking about, you just sold your company and you want to make some investments. You're going to be doing some gold and silver. These guys seem to be really credible. You ought to check them out. So do that. And you can also follow Genesis Gold. They've got a new social media program they're putting in play, a new social media person. They're going to dig deep in. So they'll be probably putting up lots of gold and silver information. You can just follow their feed on X. Get over there. You always see them tagged in our stuff. And then, of course, you know what to do with our stuff. Always go out, help promote us. We're trying to grow the show. New subscribers, thank you. It's only $5 a month. Rumble ran tips, $10, $5, any bucks. Throw them in there if you can. Or you can tip us in crypto. All right, George, my man, last words for the audience. What do you got? And I guess we got Sheriff Mack coming on or something here this week.
Coming on Wednesday, yeah, Sheriff Mack. New book and stuff. Anyway, Keith,
constitutional sheriffs.
Keith, it was a pleasure having you on. Hopefully we'll bring you on more often. It all depends on that gold purple bar, but we'll work on that. Keith, don't stay backstage because I got to talk to you about a few things. Anyway, it's, everybody, it's just another Manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, but it's Monday. You all have a blessed day. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
I might have to let it drop. Represent, gotta do hella big, had to run it back again. Keep like represent, had to do hella big, had to run it.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At CSPOA.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever. Visit CSPOA.org and join the Sheriff's Citizens Posse today. Make a difference. Stand for freedom. That's CSPOA.org. Your country, your fight, your future.
What if you could predict your financial future? And what if you could trade on it? Introducing Block Trust IRA. The future in your hands. An astonishing 88,000 millionaires were created last year from the Bitcoin boom, and you could be next. Block Trust IRA is the only crypto management firm powered by AI-driven strategies, ranked #1 in the world by Bitcoin Magazine. The Block Trust IRA platform is built for everyone, from first-time buyers to seasoned investors. Predictive AI technology that was once only reserved for insiders and elites is now available to you. It's time to leave the old buy and hold strategies behind. Your assets are protected with military-grade security, offline cold storage, and $200 million in insurance. Visit BlockTrustIRA.com to book your free consultation and ask how to claim up to $2,500 in deposit bonuses today. Bitcoin changed the game. AI changes the strategy.
Hi folks, I'm here today to introduce you to the Prepper Bar from PrepperBar.com, the most unique precious metals product we have seen in a long time. These 62-gram bars are perforated and easily broken down into your choice of 3 different sizes to fit a multitude of needs. Whether it be from asset protection from inflation, economic turmoil, or its unique utility for barter and trade, the Prepper Bar makes a perfect gift for all the precious metal lovers out there. Exclusively made here in the USA and selling out fast. Available in both gold and silver, these slim Prepper Bars fit neatly in your wallet, and their utility enables use in any situation.
Forged through rigorous training and honed by the finest instructors on Earth, these K9 units serve beside our nation's warriors as they fight to preserve what we cherish. When these warriors complete their duty, the Warrior Dog Foundation provides them with a home deserving of the service they've given us all. At our state-of-the-art kennels, they receive rehabilitation and care suitable for heroes, because that's what they are. Be a part of giving them a future today. Visit WarriorDogFoundation.org.